Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Intentiality. I have an amazing guest with me today, Dr. Sarah Larsen, who has a beautiful background in both medical and intuitive medicine and bringing both the ancient and the modern traditions together to heal the heart, the body, the mind, the soul, the whole package, to bring that ancient tradition into a world that can feel it and understand it in a new way. She is the co-founder of Miracle Makers Academy that has worked with veterans and groups all around the world. I am so excited to have her on today. We're going to be talking about a great topic, talking about what the post-COVID world is going to look like and how you want to show up to that world. So Dr. Larsen, thank you so much for joining. I'm so excited to have you on.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you. I'm just, what an extraordinary way to begin a conversation around spirituality, intentionality, and mindfulness. So I love what you stand for, and I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you. And that's what intentionality is all about, that there is a divine purpose to everything. And when you really look at the world that way and understand the pain that you've had, the medical issues that you've had, the people who have come into your life, and you see the intentionality behind that, it heals you. You're no longer a victim. You're now back in an understanding place, a place of acceptance. So I love the fact that we're going to be talking about that today. This is a topic I've talked to my family about quite a bit. I'm not sure you've talked to your groups about as well.
It's been an amazing thing what conversations this has opened up for all of us.
And before we begin, everybody who's watching, if you are coming in to Awake TV and you're able to watch this live, the comment section is up and I'm watching it. So please holler in if you've got any questions for Dr. Larsen or myself. If you see this later and we don't get to them live, I promise to pass your questions on. So let's get started. Dr. Larsen, do you want to give us a little bit of your background and a background on the Academy?
On the Academy, we founded an academy that could help anyone, anywhere. We're a group of people that have a clear vision, and that vision is to bring our service into the world and make the difference we're here to make. We use science, we use spirituality, we use mindfulness, we really cultivate vibration and frequency inside our bodies to heal, feel, and thrive. And so we've been together as online as an academy for about 3 years. And that came out of just love of service and connecting with people all around the world. And wherever we went, we met miracle makers, and miracle makers expanded by getting together and co-creating. Wow, we can create the world that we see in our vision, and we can accurately get the developmental feedback in order to remake ourselves, to bring about the world that we wish to see by being that already in that miracle frequency.
Gorgeous. One of my favorite people in the spiritual order was Edgar Cayce. And he always talked about your ideal. You had to have your own personal ideal. Once you set your ideal and you live to it, the world would change to meet you. It wants to support that ideal person that you can be. And that's what the miracles are all about.
Oh, that's what the miracles are all about. It's amazing from the Edgar Cayce, able to accurately describe the location, to describe a disease, or even channel with eyes closed. Now here we are in this world that we have so much, we get to stand on his shoulders and the shoulders of all of those that came before us, that were truly tapped into that frequency.
And it's what I've seen, even in my own time of studying spirituality, is that it's accessible to everybody. Those miracles are accessible to everyone. Now, when Edgar Cayce was going through it, it always seemed like you had to be born with this special gift, and only those gifted could really be spiritual leaders. It doesn't feel like that anymore. It feels like all of us can be our own spiritual leaders and have and create our own miracles. And it's so freeing to realize that.
It's so freeing to know we're transgenerational.
Mhm.
So anything that we've seen a human do before us, especially within our own family, we can do that. And when we trace I say this, and we say this within Miracle Makers Academy all the time, you go far enough back and we're all family. You go far enough forward and we're all family. So everything is transgenerational, and it's an amazing concept in spirituality when you heal your own generation, how you generate yourself, when you heal your own body, that you can span, you're doing that 7 generations forward, you're doing that 7 generations back. When you understand the unseen world, when you understand how everything's connected in the field, it's so exciting to dive into, wow, truly, when you get present to yourself, there is a field that allows you to bypass time and space, which is so beautiful, to bring the miracle. And you bypass time and space by getting into love, getting into a deep, deep understanding of what your heart is capable of and what miracles are. I love Marianne Williamson's description. A miracle is a shift in perception from fear to love. And she gets that out of A Course in Miracles.
Which I also love. I started that after reading Edgar Cayce as well. That's something my father and I have worked on, is the Course in Miracles. It's that book, if anybody has ever read it, or that course, it's such subtle little things that change the way you look at the world. Like looking around this room and saying nothing is real. This computer is not real. If that's what I say to myself day in and day out, you're making a new truth for yourself. You're looking at things in a brand new way. And I love what you said about it allows you to see the miracles. It allows you to see miracles that were already happening around you. You weren't able to see them.
And seeing is half the battle. I learned that from the G.I. Joe cartoons. And
So
seeing is half the battle. It's before you judge others or claim any absolute truth. Consider that you see less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum and hear less than 1% of the acoustic spectrum, right? As we're talking about this, we're traveling at 220 kilometers per second across the galaxy. 90% of the cells in your body carry their own microbial DNA, and they're not you. The atoms in your body, right? 99% empty space, and none of them were the ones that you were born with, except for the stem cells inside your heart.
That's beautiful. I didn't know that. That's just, it puts it all into perspective. Yeah.
When you become that space, right? When you become open and you go, whoa, wow, that's a lot of space to consider. 99.99% empty space. And we human beings originated, right, in the belly of a star. Your DNA components, your iron, your hemoglobin, components that were forged in stars. Human beings, this is so funny, like human beings have 46 chromosomes, 2 less than the common potato. And the existence of the rainbow depends on the conical photoreceptors that are in your eyes. And to animals without cones, the rainbow does not exist. So you don't just look at a rainbow, you create it, which is so amazing when we consider that all the beautiful colors that you see represent less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum.
Mm. That brings up 1,000 questions. But with all of that extra space, all of that emptiness that hasn't even taken form yet, it really puts into perspective the fact that you can choose how you want to show up. You can choose your truth. Because if we only see 1% or 0.1% of anything, what do you want to see? How do you want to show up in your world? What do you want your truth to be? It gives you so much more space to breathe in this world. It's not set for you.
It's not set for you. I used to say I can't imagine my dad and mom coming to the spiritual center. I've for a number of years, I'm in Los Angeles. A lot of people heard about Agape Spiritual Center after it made it into the movie The Secret and Oprah Winfrey and so many I used to say, gosh, I can't imagine my parents here. I can't. And then it was Reverend Michael Beckwith that said, "Oh my gosh, if you can't imagine it, it can't happen." And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm perpetuating so I started imagining it. And oh my gosh, the way it came into my family was more amazing than I could have imagined at the time. The movie The Secret hadn't come out yet. And then The Secret showed up. And then at some point, my parents came out here and met like Ricky Byers Beckwith, the minister, the whole choir singing experience of Agape, which is all conditions love. If you can't imagine yourself being in a space of, wow, no matter what comes at me, I'm either going to develop myself or create all conditions love. And that's imagining yourself being in that space is one of the best ways to create so beautifully in the moment the healing vibration, the feeling vibration that you want to be emanating from your body, and the thrive that you want to happen.
And one of my favorite studies is Dr. Emoto's work with water. And it's exactly what he shows with the water. How do you want the water what properties do you want in the water? Do you want it to be crystallized with love, or do you want it to be brown and murky with hate? And it's such a visual representation of what you're talking about. How do you want the world to show up for you? What you put out affects everything around you. And that will affect what you get back.
What you get back is so it's an extraordinary just moment, because the earth is giving us feedback on what we get back. Our bodies are giving us feedback. We're 70% water, and all of the components that we've put into our own oceans, into our own earth, is now showing up in our own bodies. And our bodies were so connected. Dr. Emoto's work is so beautiful. When you concentrate on water and you put the intention of love into it, and then you freeze that, there's a uniform, beautiful pattern. If you play heavy metal music to it, then there's this diseased crystal that you're looking at when that ice is frozen. If you play, I am good enough, I am enough, if you that's a coherent pattern. If you speak, I hate you, it's a diseased looking pattern in the frozen crystal water. And you're 70%, I'm 70% water. And how often do we get out of the shower and we look at ourselves in the mirror and do this critical critical analysis of ourselves. And that critical analysis is in water that is holding the vibration, and then 70% of you, water. And the research shows that water has perfect memory. And we're trying to figure out how to harness that for our computers and for our electronics in a new way, because it's got perfect memory. That's what the Native Americans and the natives of the indigenous of all lands, water is always sacred. And so it's like our bathing ritual, right? Looking in the mirror. And what are you saying to yourself? That crystallizes in your body.
And especially potent for today with all this fear of sickness. If every time you cough, you're telling yourself, I'm sick, or your fear of that virus is going into the water of your body. That fear is going into the water that you drink. It's in the water that you bathe in. It permeates and changes the cell, the makeup of your cells. It has incredible ripple effects that people just never think about.
It's so true. When we breathe in air, there's atmosphere. And when we're breathing in air, we're humidifying the air into our system and into our body. And when we exhale, if you inhale and you consciously begin inhaling love, or inhaling I am safe, or inhaling I love you, and you exhale letting go of what no longer serves you, exhale what isn't serving your body. When you set that intention into your body, it's an amazing gift that you begin to be able to put out a frequency of love, of wholeness, of healedness. And it's amazing that you also, your every part of your body is designed to sense the environment around you. And so if you've got within your body a stable place where whatever is outside of you can land, if it's not an inflamed place, or if it's not an overly emotional, and I want to say overly emotional means if you're not able to go into witnessing yourself, that you can separate and go, wow, it's interesting that I'm having this emotion with this breath, or with this experience, or with this circumstance. When you can stay stable and witness some of your emotions, you're able to take in with your breath and breathe in the latest information, and breathe out what no longer serves that latest information coming into your body, understanding of the energy field or the world around you. And then if you cough, right, if in that inhale and exhale breath, you cough, and then you pause and you connect with your body and listen to the place where the cough is coming from within yourself. And that very act of witnessing where the cough is coming from, we just shared knowing is half the, is half the problem. Like when you see it, you understand half the problem. If you're coughing, you can begin to relate and listen and feel what it's connected to. You're able to self-generate what can truly bring the next level of healing, of feeling, of thriving.
The words that I hear when you're speaking, that mindfulness it's going to be the result of what we're going through right now, is that mindfulness, that awareness, that presence we have never had, because life was too busy. It was too fast paced. When you can take a moment and just think about the implications of recognizing the cough and where it comes from, such a simple thing that we never think to do, and how much that can help our body stay healthy and avoid sickness, avoid the fear. It's absolutely incredible. It's the time of mindfulness.
It's the time of mindfulness, and it's also an extraordinary time of community.
Mm,
So your immunity is connected to your community. If you had an upbringing that had a lot of harshness to it, you had to defend yourself constantly, to defend what you were thinking, feeling, saying, or you had to see things on the outside different from the way that your feelings were telling you on the inside. Sometimes an autoimmune disorder can occur in a body. This is really important to fully understand. Your body is built in community. And when you're in a community that you can unfold yourself in, that you can relax in, and you can go back and forth and showing and being vulnerable and also courageous, where you can lift someone up or allow yourself to form the words that allow you to be lifted,
mm,
right? That's community builds your immunity. And so it's a time of really what is essential. Your own knowing yourself builds your immunity. You knowing yourself within a community builds your immunity to that next level. Knowing that community and how it serves and connects a much larger field of their own choosing than themselves builds it to that next level of being able to connect,
mm,
thrive, bring forward, and bring up and remake and belong.
mm. And I just want to recap that because that's so important. Just the idea that if you know yourself, who you really are, and you accept yourself, you have a stronger immunity. If you live in a community of acceptance that allows you to be you and allows everyone else to be themselves, everyone will have a stronger immunity. It's such a profound idea. It's so beautiful. All it is acceptance. And one of the big things that we see from my military experience is so many of us don't know who we are. You know, we attach labels to ourselves and we roll with it, right? So I'm a daughter. I was an airman. I'm smart because I've been told I'm smart. But who am I? It took me a long time to figure that out, and my health suffered. I got breast cancer in my 30s or my late 20s. If I accepted myself, how much healthier would I be? What would my life look like if I accepted myself completely? That's a pretty profound question.
It's a profound question, and I know when I started medical school in 1995, the rarest thing would be a woman in her 20s getting breast cancer.
And now it's
Yeah.
happening a lot. It's an epidemic.
It's an epidemic. I went to medical school in India, and for 2 years alone, we dissected the body. We learned anatomy, 2 years of physiology and biochemistry before we went into pharmaceuticals completely and before we went into pathology. And it's really important to understand the lens through which we're looking at the world. I can say in 1995, what I learned, the epidemiology then is so different from what it is now. And the more we connect with ourselves, the more you know yourself, the more you're able to bring to anyone that is helping you care for your body. And the more that you understand the world around you, Aaron Brockovich, right? The movie really got us to understand what we're living around and what, if there's a trend happening within a community, you can truly, the solution as well as the problem be identified within it. And so there is a epidemic of people not nurturing themselves and their families not nurturing transgenerationally, and the breast and the lungs and that area of the chest completely have to do with self nurturing. And families that it's passed down through the generations, in being able to authentically be proud, like, the proud bird, the chest out energy of who you are. And so coming from a background of women that couldn't express it on the outside, so their body created dis-ease on the inside, so that you would wind up here sharing your profound gifts and wisdom and spirituality and mindfulness and military experience, and the gifts that you only can come through you. You're bringing it through for all those generations to have healed it. For in Chinese medicine, Indian medicine, Egyptian, native medicine, anytime you get a dis-ease, you've got the better solution of being the bridge between something in the past and something that's very needed right now. And so you get to bridge that feeling and that nurturing, and you remade yourself to show yourself, to bring all of that energy forward for all of the women, all of the men, all of the nurturing that didn't happen, along with all of the stuff in the environment and the community.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you say all that. I had no history of breast cancer in my family. I was the first at that age. And the way you describe it is exactly the way I went through it. It was an opener for me. It was another awakening. I'd already had my spiritual awakening, which helped me exponentially go through that. But it helped me get in touch with an empathy and an experience I couldn't have had otherwise. I wouldn't be able to share and understand the way that I do if I hadn't gone through that. And that's one way we don't look at illness enough, is that it's, what did we learn from it? I have no regrets that I went through that, because exactly what you said, it allowed me to sit here in this chair and know what I've gone through and been able to help other people go through that as well, and see the beauty behind it, and really release that old karma as well, those old lessons.
Those old lessons. Karma is a lot of unfulfilled desire, is the way that I learned it. And when it's said so many different ways, but whatever the parents don't deal with, that is passed on to the children. Whatever isn't, so that energy of karma, any unfulfilled desire, we either have to identify it and go, oh, that was a desire from the past, it doesn't belong in this time frame. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to pick up and carry what's yours to carry. And unfulfilled desires that are no longer wanted is one of the first things that's easy to put down.
Yeah. So how does that work on this massive scale? The whole world has been affected by this sickness. So how does that multi-generational?
It's extraordinary, because we've been preparing for this. When I went to medical school in epidemiology, this was the first thing that they prepared you for. It's not a matter of it coming, it's just when. And going through the process of anything that isn't necessary for humans to participate in is going to be taken by a robotic world. Like, this is really important to get. there is the highest level of creation possible within the human voice, the throat, the heart, the digestive tract. We can smell, we can see, and we are designing computers, and we're designing these sequences that can do all of that for us so that we can tap into what only we can bring forward. A robot can't bring forward what's possible to bring forward. And I've said stem cells earlier. There are stem cells in our heart that produces a field, an aliveness, an awakeness. We now know that the plants also communicate. The mycelium, the mushrooms communicate. Every animal has a communication system with the earth and with each other. And so this is anything that wasn't essential from that space of creation in which it creates and connects to a miracle frequency, robots will be able to do.
It's an interesting thing to think about. And I was trained, just along with everybody else, to think of the Terminator movie when you think of robots. Like, oh dear, they're taking over. But if you look at the way so many different people have been able to step back in their roles, do them from home, do them virtually, or even just step away from that career altogether, how much of the world do you think is going to go right back to where we were, and how much is going to be trying to shift over to this new place of creation?
This new place of creation, it's very beautiful. It's hard to quantify so much as the spaces and the communities that have been around for a very, very long time are going to expand, and they're going to continue, and they're going to allow the energy of the earth to come and be served by other communities. So the indigenous Brazil, New Zealand, and Europe, all of these wild communities, because they've got such great models already that are working, that help take care of the earth, that we've woken up in so many ways to, wow, this is what we've done to planet Earth. This is part of what we have to do to clean up and continue the human or any other species going forward. And so, and the medicines live in those communities. The solutions are right there. And so there's an organic development of communities around value systems. And those communities that are sharing with each other and cultivating space and connection and growth are the ones that will grow and expand, and they will have their own way of monetizing, creating exchange, a new system altogether. The older systems that are in place are going to begin to model that, and they're going to, from within themselves, begin to dismantle the energies. I think it was in the 2000s that we started seeing visions of military bases of any order being a place, a community gathering place for distribution of food, for distribution of goods, care for the community. And so much of that has happened already. And so just imagine what's going to happen in the next 5 years with those well-developed places.
It's really helped all of us appreciate how much we offer to each other. And you see it even in the commercials. Look at the way commercials change on television. It's all about community and banging your pots to say thank you to the first responders, and just shouting out your window, singing out your window in Italy to your neighbors. it's so it's so small in the way that we portray it, but the effects of it are massive. We're looking at each other possibly for the first time, especially in my generation, and you're actually seeing the value of the person and not just the job that they bring.
And the person and the community that they're connected with. That person, and wow, they've cultivated a space within themselves to be seen, heard, and bring forward the next way to be of service, to remake themselves, to kind of, right? It's really hard right now to be caring for people that are on the front lines. I take care of doctors and those, a lot of people that are working directly there. And it's the hardest thing, to be affected by it, and to, oh my gosh, day in and day out, day in and day out. And they are smart and they're sensitive. They got into it because they were sensitive. And so us banging, us making noise, us generating gratitude feeds this field every day and truly makes a difference.
So how would you recommend we show our love and support to care for the doctors and the first responders and the rest?
The first spot is to take care of yourself. Really bring your immunity up and really start learning for your own body. Start being able to go, whoa, if I have this much sugar, this much carbs, this is what happens to my body. If I have this much plants, if I have this much, whatever it is, to become aware of that. To become so in tune with your body that when you go in, it's really from the space of being able to go, these are the things that I've looked at, and this is what I need help with. And to become, the first thing we did was donate masks and supplies and local things locally. And my family was in Hurricane Katrina. I was out in California. We drove back in a minivan where you could not fly in or drive in yet even. We had to, it was extraordinary to make it all the way across Texas and then into Louisiana. But what we brought was our own, we're okay. We're going to get through this. You're not alone. We're here for you. Ask what you need. Share whatever it is you need to share. I will help you lift and carry this. I won't judge the experience of how you're showing up moment to moment, so that when you go into the experience, you're able to pull from my energy that I so lovingly and willingly, gratefully am sending in your direction, to hold a love frequency and appreciation, a gratitude, as well as bringing full on wellness into your body.
And I know some of these commercials that I've been seeing are for just random chips and just other things, but the pictures that they're using of mothers bonding with their child, of fathers fishing with their kids, this love that we're seeing, even in pictures, even if it's not on video, it has a resonance. It affects you. It affects your mood. It affects your immunity, all by just, they're based on love. They're loving photos, and you can feel it just by looking at them. So if we make the conscious choice to live in that space, instead of going backwards to, Budweiser frogs or whatever, whatever is behind us, we continue on with that frequency. And where would we be? I mean, that the sky is the limit if we stayed with that frequency, because we can feel how powerful it is.
Feeling how powerful it is so beautiful. That the emotions, if you're having a lot of tears, know that it is your mind and your body cleansing itself of the past. Tears get out cortisol, like the cortisol that's in your brain, immunoglobulin, amylase. There's so much in your tears. Make sure you're hydrating. If you're very, very tearful, make sure you're getting that in your body so that you're doing the cleansing, the purging. And before taking in that water, really connecting with yourself and connecting in a way that puts love into that water, puts joy or just appreciation for remaking yourself, for remaking your brain, for releasing the stress and taking care of yourself.
Absolutely. On the flip side of that, what does fear do to the body and to the mind?
So, oh my gosh. So even fear, like for any emotion that you feel for longer than 2 minutes is something that your body is addicted to. It was probably something that your family was addicted to. Literally, when you have a emotion and you live in the flow and you live in love, but this has been tested, the way that the brain works, the chemical cascade, 2 minutes of whatever emotion. So if there's anger, if there's fear, if there's distrust, if there's shame, or if there's guilt, and it lasts longer than 2 minutes, it's really not just you. It is a biochemistry that you inherited, as well as possibly even picking it up from the field. And it doesn't matter where that fear came from, or the blame came from, or the shame, or any of that energy. Once it lands with you, it's up to you to feel and process it to the next level of allowing yourself to see what it allows you to become next. I want to say that another way. I love saying the same things in so many ways. If you come from a place of, this is okay, I'm going to witness whatever's coming, and you notice that the same emotion, a same energy coming over and over again and staying for longer than 2 minutes. There's this old poem that says, I believe it's a Rumi poem that says, every day on your door comes a new emotion. Welcome them all in, welcome them as guests. And that welcoming them in as guests allows you to host whatever it is outside. And then you can generate within yourself, within your body, the emotion when you are waking up, or you generate gratitude, you generate appreciation, you generate these emotions. And when the visitor, the unexpected emotion comes, you've already got a space, an idea, a vision, a thought, a smell, a color that you can invoke to bring forward the joy, bring forward after 2 minutes of experiencing it. And you're like, oh my gosh, this has been so long now. And this is the 15th time this emotion has visited me. I'm so glad I noticed that emotion came to visit. And then you generate a process so that the next time it comes to visit, that you can also connect with it and feel it from the witness self, the mindful self, the creative self, the heart stem cell connected self.
There's just so much in that. And this morning I woke up and I was sad. I couldn't tell you why I was sad. I just woke up with this feeling of sadness, and it stayed with me all day. And I was aware of it enough to be like, this is not, I have nothing in my life to be sad about. This is not an emotion that has anything to do with the present. So how do I balance that back out? And I always think of it like a seesaw or a teeter-tot. If you're feeling sadness, what balances out sadness? Happiness. If you're feeling hatred, think of love. You balance it back out to bring your equilibrium back. But to think about the bigger picture of that, that if it's more than 2 minutes, that's just mind blowing right there. Okay, I'm setting that energy for hours.
Right. That's based on work of Candace Pert. She was this amazing, she developed out so much work around our emotions, and she found this cascade would come in, and Dr. Joe Dispenza has taken it so much further, these studies and then Heart Math Institute with all of the incredible work that it's doing, the way that you breathe into your heart. And if you already know, oh my gosh, an image or feeling of hate came in, and you already know your own connection to love, and you've got that image in your mind. When I started my daughter in the kitchen, I used to, whenever there was an energy of fear that would come up, one night I'd fallen asleep in my mother-in-law, my husband, in our family home in Minnesota, and my daughter was 2.5, like she had just turned 3, and we'd just given birth to my son. He was 8 days old when we arrived in Minnesota from California.
Fun time to travel.
It was an amazing, just an amazing thing. And I woke up one night, and she wasn't next to me. She wasn't and I woke up and I walked into the kitchen, and the sunlight was hitting her face so beautifully, and had gone into fear. When I woke up in fear. And as I came out, I stepped into love, and I stepped into gratitude, and I stepped into appreciation. So anytime a lower emotion comes up, I can see her in her onesie that she had wandered out of bed and walked and she was in the kitchen opening a cabinet, right? At 3 years old. And for when I need more, I have an image of my son looking at a magnifying glass, and he was probably a little bit older, about 5 years old. But this is, if an emotion comes up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in that emotion. Oh, it's been 3 days that I've been sitting with it, or whatever that time frame is. And there was this study done on gorillas, that Jane Goodall's study. They would remove and observe what happened with the depressed, the ones that were having less. It was an offshoot of the work that she was doing. They would observe 10% of every group had some that were having less sex, more introspective, cleansed and groomed the other gorillas more. And when they took those gorillas out, the population began to die. And then they started the study again, this offshoot of Jane Goodall's work, and the gorillas started to die. And they're like, oh my gosh, we've got to stop this. And now they've gone out and seen, because they can measure the emotions, the heart, the brain waves that we're producing. We can measure that. If you're feeling sadness, if you're feeling depression, it's probably not yours. If you're in a community of people feeling, or your neighbors, the television, the people that you might be talking to, you're one of the sentinels that's needed to facilitate you catch it. And then you hold it, and you feel it, and you give gratitude for it. And then you generate the images and the feelings within yourself, and you release it.
One of the things that I've learned as well through the military was, right along with that sense of community you're talking about, is the depression in the military, in the police force, in the firefighter force, is so heavy. And when you talk about it being a community emotion that might not even be yours, but you adopt it, you let it move into your space without even recognizing that you've done it. That makes a ton of sense for why they talk about the numbers of depression being so high in those communities. It's not just the job, it's not just the danger that they face, it's a community emotion that we share with each other and we really perpetuate.
We really perpetuate. What you're rehearsing in your mind's eye is what comes about. And that you're getting 2,000 bits of information that register. You're available to you every second is 4 billion bits of information. This is how we teach it in the academy. If you're looking from a lower perspective, a lower emotion, you're going to register the lower ones. If you're going to register, you have 4 billion bits a second, and you can only register 2,000. If you're in fear, you're going to register the fast moving, the ones that can cause you harm. If you're in courage, this is the work of Dr. David Hawkins. If you're in willingness, if you're in neutrality, what you can register can actually help you become a beneficial force, a beneficial miracle-making presence. 2 billion bits of information. You can register the miracle, you can register the love, or you can register the fear.
And with something as simple as remembering a moment with your child that resonated love.
Yes.
It makes it sound so simple. So why haven't we already done this?
We haven't slowed down enough.
Yeah.
And so it's so beautiful, as you said earlier, so beautifully, this has slowed us down in a way that's never been before. The best are on the field, playing, creating, studying, researching, advocating, generating. From their hearts, what they feel will benefit the rest of the living beings that are here, will perpetuate the values in their hearts and their systems, and will perpetuate what they want to see in the world.
So combating fear with beautiful images, combating illness by being of service to each other, being mindful and grateful for each other. It's all internal. It's not some big show of something. It all goes on inside of you. And you have so much power to make such a big change.
So much power to make such a big change. It's quite spectacular. It really is.
Oh, absolutely. So what's the next step for us to help with this movement? We've got the time.
Yes.
So how do we make sure when we come out of this silence that we're ready?
I wonder if I can share a screen.
Sure.
To really, this is, okay, let's see if I can, here we are. Let me share a screen. We'll bring it to right here. This is the page that we created for you on Dr. Sarah Larsen. They just search your name, and a lot of the beautiful stuff that we've been working on today. This is Heart Math Institute, right? The heart's magnetic fields can be measured several feet away from your body. The more you've cultivated that, the more the feeling that you're in alignment. Right here, we put the next step, which is, what is your heart's voice? This is on Dr. Sarah Larsen. It's completely under your name, which is so beautiful, Christina Alyssa. And we're going to put the interview here as soon as it's complete. And you click on that and you can hear messages. This is heart coherence. It teaches you how to do it. It's Heart Math Institute. And then we've got steps in here that show you how to understand energetic gold, the works that we've been talking about, attachment theory. A lot of it is 4 possible outcomes from your childhood. When you understand this about yourself, you're able to really go in and generate the energetic gold. And this is me as a young girl. I was born in Pakistan. Well, that's my mom, who got married at 13.
Ooh.
This is that was she had 3 of us. And if I take it back just one more step here, I can just show you the top of this page, which I'm so grateful to the County of Los Angeles for having recognized the work that we're doing with the military and the work that we're doing. That picture's there as well. I'm really, really grateful that before you judge others or claim an absolute truth, everything that we've talked about here, here's what you put up earlier today, which was so beautiful. We will not go back to normal. Normal never was. Our pre-corona existence was not normal, other than we normalized greed, inequality, exhaustion, depletion, extraction. We should not long to return, my friends. We are being given the opportunity to stitch a new garment, one that fits all of humanity and nature. How we care for one another is how we go forward. So this is just, this was from 2017, working with the military and all of the work that we did there. Such a beautiful page.
And working with those groups, one of the reasons I'm so passionate about bringing mindfulness and spirituality to the military, to the government, to the first responders, is because they do have such a large reach. They're leaders of the community. So if they learn who they are, if they can now learn to balance out fear with love and resonate that from themselves, just think of all the people that they can affect, all the people that will want to follow in that path of joy and love. It's a great time to be alive. It really is.
Oh, it's a profound time to be alive. About 9 years ago, I started working with Charlie Pacello. He was suicidal and came in around depression, with relationships, military background. And now he's working with and helping, I would say probably through his radio programs, 10,000 people, 200 families a month, has rewritten Lebanon's, the church in Lebanon's intention and purpose statement for the Syrian refugees, and met with the Pope last year. It's an extraordinary thing. It's if you're in the military, you've got the core of the wound. If you act from the wound, it's so beautiful to know what you can create from the space that love generates within you.
Absolutely. What a beautiful note to unfortunately end the conversation, because we've run out of time. But thank you so much for not only the words and the light and the heart that you bring to everything that you do, but also the knowledge that helps so many people who are on the fence about mindfulness or spirituality. The science is there to show you that your thoughts and your emotions have effects. So how do you want your life to be? Do you want it to be filled with miracles, or do you want it to be filled with pain? You really do have the choice in that. So thank you so much for bringing all of that information. I learned a ton of new stuff, so I was writing things down on the slides.
Thank you so much. We, miraclemakersacademy.com, we send out a newsletter with all of this in it on a regular basis. Thank you for having me. I'm so grateful to meet your community and to Awake TV and the incredible work you're doing. Thank you.
And you're always welcome on Awake TV. We have 70 plus teachers, so Anytime. You're
Yeah.
always welcome. And please check out Miracle Makers Academy. Look at the events that they have going. Check out the different podcasts, the different videos, an incredible amount of information. If you want to know what love looks like, feels like, it's out there. All you got to do is be willing. So thank you so much, Awake TV family. We have Animal Communications on next. And there are some specials on heart math if you wanted to learn some more about that as well. Thank you so much. Until next time on Intentiality. Next week, we're going to be talking about mindfulness and spirituality and how to incorporate those on a day-to-day basis. So love and light, my family. Until next week.